Good morning, welcome to a morning outlook. This is Kim speaking on Monday the 31st of January. So we're on a rebalancing day, so we might see some rather largish movements. We'll see how they manage things in currencies, etc. So as I say, may just be a bit of a rebalance go on. So watch out for volumes coming, particularly as we run through into the US session. So let's have a look at what's going on today. Firstly, let's have a quick look at the calendar, and we've got a busy week this week, he says, as he looks at the calendar to start working. I'll just press the wrong button probably. Here we go, it's better. So we've got this week, but today we've got a Chinese bank holiday, just bear that in mind, so Asian sessions may be a tad quieter. Not that many will trade through those, day trade through those, but it might just make a bit of a difference to the beginnings, how the London session starts. However, ignoring that, then today we've got an FOMC speaker later after the normal UK session. Let's just check my timings right on here. 7:48, yes. So we do have a speaker later on. And then really we start looking, we've got the Australian Reserve Bank of Australia meeting, so a rate statement coming from them, that will be quite key. Wednesday we have ADP non-farms and the Australian governor speaking there. It's always a day later. They like to mull over what they've said. So it gives him a chance to say something more the next day, maybe. I don't know why it's such a delay in terms of him speaking, but there we are. Following that, then Bank of England, Bank of England have their bank official meeting there, and we'll get the bank rate coming out at midday, followed by 12:45 the European figure. So we've got, as I say, it's quite busy, and finishing the week with a nice non-farms both in Canada and the US of A. So there we go, this is the key news events. Risk today though relatively small during our trading session there. Right, let's get on and look at the markets themselves. We're seeing this morning, at the moment, we're seeing a small bounce kicking in on the euro here. I say small because it's relatively modest. Have we come down to some support area? Well, we've run through its 50% extension here. We could at any stage find some support. We've got some divergence sitting across on the bigger time on this weekly time frame there, so we could get a correction, maybe an intermediate correction, i.e. we may see a wave within the wave, so this may just sort of come back, correct, and continue its route. So to bear in mind. And where might it drive itself? Well, there's the weekly pivot is above there at 112.05, so that certainly becomes a level which, if it was to get up there, would be for me a point to look for a continuation of the immediate moves. So no real follow-through divergence on this 4-hourly that I'm looking at on the MACD at least. I think it might be a bit on the RSI, but yeah. So where we got today's high sits right on the today's R1 as well, so watch out for that. We could just see it break down really quickly, and this would be a show of the strength or of the momentum that's in there. If it breaks down quite quickly, there's more momentum to the downside. If we see it pushing through the highs there, well, I would expect it to run, I would stay tomorrow, potentially back towards the pivot there. As I said, with any rebalancing that could affect this market anyway, so watch out. Cable. So cable also catching a bounce. I believe that cable might have a little bit more as it sort of runs towards its the Bank of England meeting, but and we got this lovely point above. It's just sort of reacting at the moment by looks of it off of its 4-hourly 21, but we've got this lovely weekly pivot that sits right near the previous lows there. So that would be a classic sort of retest of the prior lows, and a bit of confluence with a trend line and everything else. If it were to come up early enough, if it just walks out, well, it could just walk out sideways. But I'm erring a little more overall on the bullish side of the pound as we move forwards, but it's put higher lows in here on its 60-minute time frame. You'll see on the 4 hourly there as well. You can see the higher lows coming in. It's just a sign of maybe something more to the upside on the pound. Okay, Dolly Yen. Morning, Joyce and Shelley. Dolly Yen, he says. Just go back to the dailies, right? Dolly Yen, well, it's continuing to soften this morning a little bit. Now, having already looked through these markets, it does look like a bit of more risk on. So we've seen the euro pushing up, the cable pushing up a little bit at the moment. And I say at the moment, it's so early that we could see all this sort of change course quite early this morning. But at the moment, it is sliding a little bit. Now, the dollar that is, and also we're seeing the yen go with it as it sort of unwinds. Coming down the time frames, well, we had the divergence on the RSI, not on the MACD last week, into these highs here, and it's since pushed up again at this stage, coming off a little bit, but bit of a mess where it sits at the moment. A break of that 60-minute 50 may just sort of show potential to roll back. It has got its weekly pivot all the way down there at 114.76, 80 area, probably somewhere in that region, 78 and a half, right in the middle. Anyway, it has got that as a potential target. If it starts rolling over more strongly, that could be a target point, but for now, largely looking at the upside. Okay, Aussie dollar then bouncing off a 618 extension from this bigger move here. As I said last week, it's already done the width of this range of this rising channel, which a lot of traders would look at for the break below that, and it's already done more than cleared that. Catching a more solid bounce here, and we've seen the commodity markets doing pretty well. Key test then initially is the weekly pivot just above. We've seen these hit before and rolled over, or rolling over. We'll see what happens this morning. If it pushes the large sort of oomph behind this current bar, looks solid, maybe we'll see a bit more, and but it's all a bit of patience. If you're looking to short this market, let's just see what happens. If you want to jump aboard this market, well, you may just need some signals to get in there, but just watch the resistance is not far away. A break of the trend line, a break back below the 50 would suggest to me, well, we're continuing back down, and I'd probably be quite happy waiting for that to happen. As I say, I'd like to see the pivot hit first. If there's a reversal into that pivot, there may be a more aggressive partial entry with an entry continuing. Canadian dollar, well, it's a bit of strengthening here as well, so it's following the signs of the risk back on, coming off this morning. It's running off, and again another market running back to its weekly pivot there. It's not far away from prior high there, so once again may have a bit of confluence around the area. Markets generally still heading south a little bit here on the 4 hourly 200, still facing southwards, but we've got plenty of support coming in through as 21.34, so we might just see those areas reached. Just looking at the wave formation, I won't go into that right this minute, but yeah, it's probably the first wave is back here. It's all right. I'm thinking to myself, thinking out loud. Wasn't that Ed Sheeran? Anyway, there we go. There's the key markets. As I said, the balance really looking very much a risk-off situation at the moment. A bit of money coming off the dollar. Let's have a look at gold. Would have expected gold to be pushing up a little bit here, but not to be, with the risk, saying that risk off. Now, outside bar here looks quite bearish on the weeklies. I just thought I'd come back out there and show you that. Looks a bit on the softer side, but weekly lows not far below, and we've got the S1, a monthly S1 sitting not far below. So there is some support close by. Little rally at the moment on the 4 hourlies here. I say little rally, little movement to the upside. I think it's better description. There is this sort of point around the previous highs, their previous close. That if we see a push above that, we could see something more. But again, I'd wait probably until the break of the 50 there if I was looking for the weekly pivot and something a bit more sustained. So there we go. It's gold looking soft still, relatively. Oil had a good old chunky week there. Big bullish candle in a continuation after that doji the previous week. Looking a bit convincing. Even today it started off the day half decently. There are some signs of weakness. There is a divergence over the highs here, and there are a few signs of weakness, but I think I saw some OPEC meeting this week. I might be wrong, but sure saw OPEC listed somewhere. Anyway, key point here, look, it's towards the end part of last week. Yes, we put a high in there, but it's got quite sort of choppy, a bit more consolidated around this area. Now it's consolidating around the high, so potential is it could continue in that direction, but quite messy when you look at it. In fact, we got a trade out of it on Friday, classic long trade. Looks like we came out at the right point retrospectively, not leaving much on the table there for me anyway. But little bit as I say, a little bit softer looking at the moment, little gap below. We'll see how this sets itself out, but a bit iffy, I think, is the term that comes to mind. Right, let's switch markets now and look at the other markets. Let's just bring the right chart through. There we go. Let's have a look. I'm going to start off with the cryptos as we look at those now. Saturday was a half decent day for these markets. It's quite funny. My 12-year-old son was telling me about the money he made off of selling an NFT or NTF, non-fungible NFT. He sold a picture, 160 was it 160 quid? He sold it for. Anyway. And he was telling me about his Ethereum, so he was quite chuffed about that yesterday, but he might not be so chuffed this morning. However, as it was a picture, it took him about 20 minutes. I'm not sure he's too bothered, but anyway, aside of that then, Bitcoin then rolling back here a little bit. Say Ethereum just off a little bit this morning. I suggested he holds on to his Ethereum for a while. Coming back towards the prior lows there. Once again, I think if it comes down to there, we'll find some support. Question is this time, if it starts breaking and these markets start breaking these prior lows, then it sort of clears the way for a bit more downside. But at the moment, you've got a similar picture right the way through. It was Bitcoin that did the best on Saturday. Saturday. Oh no, we had a positive Saturday there as well, but selling off largely again here, and I remain bearish on these at the moment, and would stay out if I was looking to invest or buy in there personally. Right, okay, now just looking through all these markets, and even as I say, the markets that we were looking at, and they were looking pretty strong a few weeks ago, are still looking. They're joining the party of the weaker ones. They're not getting their money flows. Right. Okay, that's that. Let's have a look at the indices now. As we bang into 8 o'clock, they're all open, ready for me to go. Look at starting off. Well, have we got one today? We haven't. That's the 28th. Market's closed, so nothing to talk about there. Market is open on the Nikkei. Nikkei's caught a bit more of a bounce there from its. Came up a bit on Friday, pushed up to this morning, so this sort of risk back on situation all fits with this. Expect the FTSE's already up, look, pushing up this morning. Just check that is today. Yep, 31st, so they're pushing up. Wouldn't be surprised if that doesn't go back up at least to the near-term shoulders, if not more. It depends how long this rally sort of runs for. DAX all looking like they've got some potentially at least something in before they run into some resistance. Well, the near-term highs here, but starting the morning okay, but we can soon see this all change around US markets, positive close on Friday there, and well, as I say, it's started off, but it's slow, hardly setting the world alight. And Nasdaq similar. Dow Jones, all similar markets, and the Nifty 50 again gapped up here, pushed up this morning quite well. Will be a biggish gap down the lows there from that close, right way down there. So quite a gap in that market if it's on the non-continuous market. Anyway, there we go. So just be wary of those points. It looks a tad softer on the Nifty 50 here than a lot of those other markets, but yeah, we'll see how, as I say, see how it develops there. Maybe the short-term time frames give us anything more of a clue to how it's running. Oh, showing a gap there, no gap actually on there so much. Gap closed on there. Right, okay. Showing a little bit of a different picture, but just softening where it is at the moment a little bit. Right, that's pretty much it for me. I wish you a great day's trading, and I'll catch you in the morning. Bye for now.